Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Grant in the Garage. I wanted to talk to you today about something off the Abarth topics, if you don't mind. It's something I feel I can add some weight to on this instance. So what is at the forefront of the automotive world at the moment? It's the Toyota Supra. Now, the Supra that we all know is the Mark IV. That is the one that I have spoken about with my friend's car before in other videos, and that is the one that everyone is searching for when they type in, they look into videos on YouTube, into Google, and there is countless videos of them slaying supercars, making all sorts of turbo noises and making obscene amounts of power. So we're now at obviously the beginning of a new Supra story, which will be the Mark V. There's a lot of controversy surrounding the car. There is as many negative comments about the vehicle, negative thoughts and opinions, as there are good ones. Now, I have my own opinions and I have my own views, and I've tried to look at it with a very open mind on a very level playing field. So I tried to look at it with a bit more of, say, a business head. You know, what was their aim in doing this? I've tried to look at it from a good, hearty car enthusiast point of view. What's my gut feeling? I've also looked at it, I think, in a different way to anyone would certainly be considering it at the moment. And can the Mark V ever be what the Mark IV has become? If you look at when the Mark IV was released versus now the Mark V being released, statistically they're very similar. Same size engine in terms of capacity, same amount of cylinders. They're turbocharged, they're rear-wheel drived, front-engined. So I guess when you look at it that way, they have delivered. The look of the car is something that seems to be up for a bit of debate. Now, again, I have a couple of different views on it. I think we were all used to seeing the concept car. There's something that we all ripped our eyes out because we thought it was that incredible. But let's face it, that wasn't going to happen. Knowing the amount of litigation and legal prowess that all of these governing bodies have over car manufacturers these days, you were never going to get away with 2-inch ground clearance and 24-inch wheels and super skinny thin little rubber tyres and all these flutes and flares everywhere. So what they've actually delivered is, admittedly, it's a bit of a sort of a squinting view of what they promised, but they have delivered, and I feel quite well, to be honest with you. What they have given us is certainly potential, because let's face it, the Mark IV turned up and no one was really crawling over broken glass to get one. You know, they were very expensive. They were about £45,000, which in today's money is about 70,000+. The Mark V is circa 55. Now, of course, there's obviously going to be specs and trims that take it up and over that, but we're in the right price bracket, and it has been pitched at the right market. The Mark IV, you must remember, was never designed to be what it actually became. You know, you type in Mark IV Supra, and you are now accustomed, even as a purist, of someone that doesn't want to see the big veil-side body kits and big wings and wheels and all that sort of stuff. It's quite normal to see a Supra with 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 horsepower now. Thousands, in fact, actually, if you look at drag cars. And yet, that's kind of the accepted norm for Toyota Supras now. But let's not forget, they came out the factory with just over 300 horsepower. That's exactly what the new one has delivered. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to give you something more than just my opinion. You know, the man in the red coat in the garage may have a valid point, but, well, it's not worth anything if I can't back it up. So this evening I am driving to meet one of my friends, the owner of a 2JZ manual Aerotop Mark IV Bayside Blue single turbo Cyvex ECU 720 horsepower Supra. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have a sort of bit of a conflab with him, and we're going to put it all on camera and we're going to see what happens. Hope you enjoy. am actually now in said Supra, and welcome, Carl. Anyone who has seen Steph AB's video of the Bayside Blue Supra, it is the same Supra. The difference is what we're going to do today is, rather than just show off the vehicle for all of its noises and, well, how damn good it looks, we're going to sort of discuss this new Supra situation with a Supra owner. Well, what is your first opinion then, really?
Well, I think it's just a shame that Toyota didn't develop their own car, because the legend of this car is all because they overbuilt it, they over-engineered it. When I was a kid, I always thought it looked amazing and it looked more futuristic than most cars at the time. And I grew up and learned that you could get pretty much as much power as you wanted out of one. And yet now they've, I think, cheapened out a bit and just basically rebodied a BMW, which is, I think, the disappointment in most of people who are enthusiastic about these cars.
I think we're not debating that the new Supra is a good or a bad car. I think it's a good car.
I think the car's going to be a good car. I think they've missed a trick in that the Supra is probably their most legendary name.
Yeah.
And they've badged the car with that they could have developed their own engine, developed their own gearbox like they did with this car.
Yeah.
I know it may not be the best business idea or business solution, because I'm sure they're going to make more money or develop the car cheaper this way.
Yeah.
But why do that with your most iconic badge? Why not do that with a GT86 replacement But they could have made the new Supra completely different to what it is. I don't think the looks are too bad. I actually think it looks quite cool in certain angles, and I'm sure it can be made to look really good. I put a post on my Instagram about how I think it could be made to look quite smart, but the mechanicals of it is auto only, which isn't, no one wants an auto Supra.
That, I think,
really.
we're in agreement is wrong. I think there should have at least been a manual option. I appreciate the average person doesn't want the third pedal in the gear stick, but for people who have now actually ended up with the Supra, they're going to want the manual.
Yeah, and I think it's they shouldn't be offering it with a 4-cylinder, because then that's not what a Supra should be. And I think they've just taken an easy route to getting a 6-cylinder turbo setup.
Yeah.
In a coupe, which they then think they can make it a Mark.
So on the subject of the engine, the risk of becoming too technical, I am not as I'm sort of on the fence, really, because for any of you that do or don't know about the BMW engine that's being used, and it is a BMW engine, there is no sort of co-ownership on that one, is a B58. Now, the B58 is a new revamped version of the N55, which is, for as far as all was concerned, was a very, very good engine. It was actually an upgraded version of the N54. So basically, to sort of historically explain where we're at, is that the 2JZ, obviously, the limits have been found of the 2J and obviously hailed ever since. The N54 almost then stepped in as the sort of new era 2J, that it could take huge amounts of power on stock internals. You know, they were both about 700, weren't they? 750.
Yeah, I think you get 800 if you got the right setup.
And then, but there was some renowned issues. Now, in the instances of getting it to that power, you would probably overcome most of those issues anyway, such as the fuel pump, the rattling wastegates and things like that. But the N55 seemed to clear that up. The biggest difference between it, and where the similarities were very similar in the N54 to the 2J, is that they were both twin turbo. The N55 then became twin scroll single turbo, which they say is more efficient, and you can extract the same amount of power. You get a smoother delivery. The B58 is slightly higher in capacity than an N55, but we're talking marginal. It's like 2,978 versus 2,999.
510cc.
Yeah, nothing major. It's nothing you're going to notice. And the engine itself has got better thermal properties, so it retains heat for up to, I think it's 3 days, 36 hours or whatever it may be, which makes it more efficient and things like that, which is all not things you really want to hear about the Supra, the supercar slayer. But where I'm at with it, and I think this is where we divide, is that it's not like they teamed up with Dacia. You know, they teamed up with, arguably some of the very best in the business at making performance model cars. They've managed to deliver a car with potential for people to tune it. They've delivered a car that can run and gun as it is out the box. And they delivered it at 55 grand.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I think the best comparison to this is the GTR, the Nissan GTR, because they did what I wanted Toyota to do. They developed their own engine, they developed their own. Everything was them. Yes, it may have cost them a fortune in terms of development, and they probably lost money in the early years when they were selling them for 50, 60 grand.
Yeah.
But they've developed, we spoke about this earlier, they've developed that car, and now they charge double that because I think
they're probably reclaiming some of their losses.
They need to make some money back. But that car's now almost as sort of highly regarded as the Skylines before it.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that this new Supra will ever be looked at as a comparison to this, or even the Mark III.
I think the thing that we did agree on is that the Nissan Skyline, I think, would have been an R33 at 94, 95, would it?
Yeah.
So the 33, which was the GTR, the RX-7, the Toyota Supra, and the NSX Honda, for to put those four in there, they were all sort of sports car alternatives to the supercar market, and they were giving you supercar performance for sports car budget. Obviously, the NSX has gone very much the other way. You couldn't make another stripped-out, Senna-infused vehicle, so they've just thrown all the technological gadgets at it possible. The GTR, much the same, the hermetically sealed laboratories that they basically assembled these cars in individually mated gearboxes to each engine, and, the nature of how the engine works and the tolerances of it and things like that. So it is a bit, but it's dragged itself into a different category. It's no longer a sports car. It actually is the supercar that it was always trying to emulate.
Yep.
I see. This is, I know, where we're divided. There is no, obviously, RX-7 as a contender anymore. Well, they tried the RX-8 and that failed miserably. But the Supra has been pitched immediately back to where it started. But unfortunately, all the competition and everything around it has moved on.
Yeah, and I think that's that is part of the problem.
Yeah.
They've tried to make the car set up similar to this car was 25 years ago, but all the other cars have moved on a long way since then, and the new car is a bit underwhelming because of that. It should have 450 horsepower as standard, and then be tunable to 500-600 without.
But we say that though. I think as the other thing, obviously, if you look at the GT86, so and you have to correct me because you know this stuff. Is it GR? It's GR, isn't it?
GR, the Toyota.
It's not TRD anymore, is it?
No, TRD.
So for those of you who don't know, TRD was Toyota Racing Development.
Toyota Racing Development, and when this car was...
Yeah, so they used to do a TRD wing and things like that for this car, which certainly gave it a bit more of a sort of a racy or sporty sort of feel. Now, GR is the new TRD logo, as it were, and so much, in fact, I think the Supra is actually now a GR Supra. Yeah. So, of course, I think there is scope. We're analysing critically a vehicle that's been out a matter of days.
Yeah,
there is chance, of course, and potential and scope, and I certainly hope this. If anyone from Toyota is listening, make bolt-on options. I'm not necessarily talking about performance, we're talking visual things. Make it closer to the concept car. I really want that wing, the wing from the grey one that they showed. So the wing would be good, and maybe another 400 to 500 horsepower. That would be lovely. Please. I think the one last topic that was worth mentioning is, and has always been a huge Supra thing, is the dash, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, the interior of the of this car is so cool, and it still looks good today.
Yeah,
the new ones.
Well, every time we've been to a car meet or a gathering, like I said earlier, the man pops to go and get some tissues from a shop or something or other, and people stop him, ask for his autograph. But ironically, you'd think, bearing in mind you're looking at these fantastic CCW wheels. I've put a picture down here. You've got this giant turbocharger making all sorts of noises. More often than not, people ask to see inside.
They want to sit in it.
They want to sit in it, yeah. And that's because of this space-age dash. And unfortunately, admittedly, BMW do really good interiors, but they're good, not great. They're very functional. They do what they need to do. There's a German.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think they could have. There was scope to take something that was quite a good platform. I think we agreed it's a relatively good platform, and they could have just given you things like the manual box option. They could have changed the interior, and it would have been enough. I think it would have been enough to appease Supra owners. But I think the thing worth bearing in mind is that the average person that bought a Supra, owns a Supra now, didn't buy it new. And if you did, you've done an excellent job to hold on to it. So most people have bought their Supras at somewhere between what were they, £10,000, weren't they?
Yeah.
So £10,000 and £25,000. Some of them are sitting at £50,000 because of the extensive modification that they've done. But we're actually talking about an off-the-shelf £55,000 car being scrutinised by people who wanted to spend 20. So I think that's probably something to bear in mind. And it would be interesting to know the thoughts and opinions of someone who has got £55,000 to spend on a car, and would they spend the money over, say, a Z4? Because the Z4 comes convertible only.
Yeah.
Which is metal folding roof, and to my knowledge, the Supra's not going to come convertible.
No, definitely not.
But there is no Targa option or Aerotop option, so you're limiting the Supra defining factors. Yes, you're giving it quite a good platform, but in your eyes, it's not enough.
No, I just don't think it's a genuine replacement. I think it's a fairly cheap route to something that looks like a modern version, but it's to BMW.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and that's probably a fair point to end on. I think from a Supra owner, someone that lives and breathes this vehicle, it's not enough. It's not a worthy offspring from what was the legendary Mark IV. In my opinion, it was a poison chalice, and they were always going to be picking up sort of bad comments because they were never going to live up to the expectation of the monster that they created, whether it was intentional or not. So for me, I think I would buy one, and I'm guessing from you.
No,
it's a no.
No, I'll probably leave it.
So on that cliffhanger, I guess it's sort of out to you guys with the comments, and I would be very, very keen, because healthy debate's always a good debate. So please, if you've liked this video, albeit slightly different once again, please subscribe, please like, and I'll see you real soon.